Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. There's 3 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan. The new cases are located in the Northwest region, which is the region that includes Lloydminster and North Battleford. The total number of cases are 1,602, 98 are considered active, and a total of 1,482 have recovered. 5 people are in hospital, 4 in intensive care, and 1 is receiving inpatient care. All are in Saskatoon. Election Saskatchewan is giving residents the option to vote by mail for the upcoming provincial election due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Connor Chan has more on the decision and what voters can expect headed to the polls.
Well, I'm joined here today with Dr. Michael Boda, the Chief Electoral Officer for Saskatchewan. Now, Dr. Boda, I know that Election Saskatchewan recently launched their Vote by Mail campaign, so just kind of share with us what that campaign is and what the Vote by Mail process is.
Well, for this election, we have launched Vote by Mail in a much larger way than we have in the past. In the past, there have been about 1% of voters who have requested what is called an absentee ballot, but it's really vote by mail. It's a postal ballot. So we've launched this in August, asking for voters to apply for their ballot in advance if they're interested in participating in that way. We want to be able to offer more options to voters in a context where COVID-19 could be present in Saskatchewan, and there will be some people who believe that they may be immunocompromised or they may feel it's a health hazard to leave and go to a physical polling location.
How important was it on your end to create that option for residents?
Well, we wanted to offer more options to people. We are preparing for polling locations during 5 days of advance voting and on election day in a way that will allow for a safer voting process. So if there are people who find themselves going to a local grocery store, our standard will be just as high and higher. And so we believe it will be a very safe voting process in October. But there are those who feel that they may not want to go to the polling location, and so we're introducing another option for them, and they can apply beginning this week for a postal ballot.
What's sort of the general outlook and turnout you're expecting for this vote by mail process?
Well, there's a lot of unknowns with respect to how many people will take up the opportunity to vote by mail. In the last election, there were about 1% that took up that opportunity. We believe that it will be significantly higher this time. We want to offer that option, and that's why Election Saskatchewan has built our capacity so that we can offer that option to voters who may be immunocompromised or feel it's a health risk to go to a physical polling location. That said, at the same time, our polling locations will certainly be safe. We're taking a number of steps in order to make our polling locations just as safe as your local grocery store.
Now, what exactly are going to be some of those safety protocols that you're going to have at polling stations?
That's a great question. Well, first and foremost, we actually will have a larger number of polling locations this time around in the province. Normally, we would have about 1,100 polling locations. Those locations might increase in number to around 1,700 polling locations. And first and foremost, the reason we're doing that is because we're spreading out the polls within the polling location much broader than we have in the past to allow for the physical distancing that is really required in this context. But our protocols will go beyond that. Our workers will be wearing masks. We will be encouraging voters to wear masks as they go to the polls. You'll see that people will be directed very explicitly in terms of ensuring that there's a safe distance between voters and workers and voters and voters. We also are introducing hand sanitizer as well. And there will be a clear barrier between the workers and the voters, just in the same way that you see at your local grocery store. And this is all in collaboration, we've been working with the Chief Medical Health Officer to ensure that we're taking the right steps to ensure that we can offer a safer voting experience in October.
Was there ever a worry about voter turnout in your mind because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, that's a really good question. And at Elections Saskatchewan, we have very much focused on looking to other cases for what has happened in the context of running in another election in the past. So we looked at cases in the United States, those in Australia, in South Korea, to determine what were the effective ways that they could make the polls safer. And so we did our due diligence. We did a lot of research in this regard. Then we began to engage with the Chief Medical Health Officer to ask for input in terms of how we can ensure that our polling locations are safer for October. So obviously there were concerns because we're in a very unique time in the history of the province, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right things in order to offer a safe voting experience.
And lastly, Dr. Boda, where can people go to get more information about the vote by mail, or if they just want additional information?
Well, we would encourage people to come to our website at elections.sk.ca, and they'll see an opportunity to vote by mail there. The first step is really to apply to vote. It is a very simple process and will take any voter less than 5 minutes to do this. There's a couple of pieces of identification that are required to upload. And subsequent to that, we'll be in touch with respect to the application. Closer to the end of September, closer to the election period, we will then be we'll be sending voter kits in the mail through Canada Post to the voters, which they can then take and then return to us by October the 26th. The last day to put it in the mail is October the 26th.
Well, Dr. Boda, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Now for this week's retrospect, here's Blake Nath.
This week in retrospect, back in '95, the local gopher population dramatically skyrocketed.
If you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's the gopher, and just about any Midwest farmer you talk to says the same thing.
Across there, it's just moving with gophers usually half the summer. So.
Is it worse this year than in previous years, do you find?
Well, it's getting worse every year.
Do you know why?
Well, we're not getting the right type of poison for one thing. With the old poison, you could go out there and you could make a job. This new stuff they got out today, it just doesn't do the job.
Well, I guess it's just kind of a feed and breed program. That's about all we have. They're just multiplying, and too bad they weren't worth money. We'd be millionaires.
Natural predators such as eagles, hawks, and badgers have been making their presence known, but farmers say it's still not enough, and the RM of Britannia wants some changes.
About all we've been doing so far is talk to our MLAs and MPs, and we mentioned at the SARM convention, and there was a resolution put through to, that the provincial government should do something about the gopher poison. And
Are you getting any response?
no, not really. We're just more or less being ignored.
And in 2000, the Lloydminster Hospital received brand new dialysis chairs as an anonymous donation.
Lloydminster's kidney dialysis program is unique to the region and draws patients from a fair distance. Today, that program drew some extra attention thanks to funding from some secret benefactors.
They're just two couples that are good friends of ours and like to do things and keep it that way and keep it quiet. So we respect that.
The two couples have provided $6,700 toward the purchase of 5 new dialysis chairs used in the treatment of acute and chronic renal failure. It involves removal of fluids the kidneys cannot process, as well as the removal of toxins from the blood.
We need specific chairs for dialysis that allows the patient to recline all the way so that their head is lower than their feet to treat low blood pressure. Ours were on their last legs, and so the donation has proved very timely and beneficial to our patient.
For patients, it means treatment 3 times a week, 4 hours at a time, and suitable chairs make a difference.
Oh, they're nice, comfortable to sit in. Don't make any noise.
As for the anonymous donation, it is something the Health District Foundation welcomes.
And that's it for this week in retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Take a look at temperatures right now. 22 degrees as we are starting to we are going to see a little bit cooler temperatures starting in the next week, especially in the mornings. We are back to those single digits right now, but the wind is going to be the factor for the next couple of hours or so, as we could be seeing wind gusts up to 40 to 50 to 60 kilometers an hour in the later parts of the evening. But 22 degrees right now, so cloud coverage right now for us here in Lloydminster. In some other areas right now, 22 degrees also for Vermilion, with 21 in Vegreville, Bonnyville, and Lac-La-Biche. 22 degrees for St. Paul, with Edmonton sitting at 23 degrees. Provost and Macklin still continuing to have warm temperatures. Provost sitting at 26 and Macklin at 28 degrees. North Battleford right now sitting at 24, with Maidstone at 23, and then Meadow Lake and St. Walbert also seeing 21 degrees as well, and then Isle of Cross seeing 20 degrees right now. So here's what the satellite radar map could look like. We could be seeing some showers possibly, as well as some of that increased wind, as I did mention, possibly maybe some showers for the evening tonight. But of course, a lot of that is in that Edmonton area and then making its way from that western front over to us here in the central regions here in Lloydminster. But as we take a look overnight, North Battleford 11 degrees with cloud coverage, 23 tomorrow with mostly sun and a bit of clouds there. Overnight in Cold Lake, they could see some of those showers at 11 degrees tomorrow for the daytime high, as well as 22 degrees tomorrow as it warms up a little bit more with that high of 22, and then a sun and cloud day. And then for us here in Lloydminster, we could get some cloud coverage overnight that could lead to just a little bit of showers, nothing maybe too major, but 21 degrees tomorrow is expected with clear skies ahead for the day. So here's what we could see over the next couple of days here. 22 degrees on Wednesday with that low of 9 degrees. So it'll be a fairly cooler morning, as we'll see for both tomorrow and on throughout the rest of the week, with 11 and 9 the number being the numbers that we could see. And then 56% chances of showers on Thursday with that daytime high of 20 degrees. That's a first look at your weather forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after this.
Now in the sports world, Major League Baseball has been in action for a month now, seeing some surprise teams and players. Evan Kenny and Eric Bay break down the season thus far, plus they take a look at the Toronto Raptors' first round success.
Joining me today for our weekly sports talk is our Eric Bay. Eric, it's always a pleasure getting to chat sports with you.
Yeah, for sure. Always a great time to start off the week with some sports.
And now there actually is sports that we can be talking about, actually sports in action. One sport that's going on is the NBA, just touching on it. The Toronto Raptors are the first and only team so far to have swept their first round series, winning 4-0 over the Brooklyn Nets. Eric, they are your pick from the East. What did you think of that first round series?
Hey, don't shortchange me. They're my pick to win it all. But no, obviously the Raptors did what they're supposed to do. It's a 2 versus 7 seed. So again, you're looking at the Raptors and they're expected to win this one. And I think the way they did it, though, is telling how they could do the rest of the postseason. Obviously, Kyle Lowry may be limited here on out with that ankle being sprained, but their bench obviously picked it up here in this last game, and that's going to need to continue. It's happened all through the bubble play as well. So that's what the Raptors need to be successful, and that's what we'll be looking for from here on out for them.
Yeah, they won, scoring 150 points in Game 4 over the Nets, and that was all by committee. So like you said, players coming off the bench, they're going to have to continue to do this and pick up where Kyle Lowry will not be, I guess, resuming what he was doing. Now changing gears here to another sport, the MLB season is about halfway over. Eric, for a while, we were a little nervous that this MLB season would only get, maybe a week into it. How do you think it's gone so far?
I mean, there's been ups and downs. It's hard to say how it's gone from the perspective of COVID management. I think from how it's gone, though, as the perspective of the play on the field, it's been pretty good. Obviously, we've seen some teams like the Yankees and also the Dodgers do what they're supposed to do. The Rays have come along here too and overtaken the Yankees recently. So we've seen some great baseball team-wise and also some great individual efforts as well early on. When you talk about guys like Fernando Tatis, Mookie Betts is still mashing out there. Nelson Cruz has picked it up recently as well. So from the perspective of on-the-field play, it's a great time to be a baseball fan. It's just, can they stay on the field with everything COVID happening outside the bubble?
And with these great players, you just mentioned 2 National League players. Eric, why don't you give us your mid-season pick for the National League MVP?
Yeah, well, if you asked me a few days ago, this was Fernando Tatis Jr. by a long shot. However, I think Mookie Betts has closed the gap, so this is going to be a fantastic race here as we go to the end. I still think it is Fernando Tatis. Just when you look at his stats, again, 12 dingers, 29 RBIs, leads the league in those categories, as well as walks, stolen bases. So he's really doing it all from an offensive perspective as a young guy, and also his defense too is impeccable. So I think he's really the guy that is stirring the drink that is the San Diego Padres, and watch out for them. They've been hot, second in the NL West, so it's going to be an exciting race to the finish.
He's also gutsy enough to swing on a 3-0 pitch, so he always does have that as well. For me, if you asked me, last week, I probably would have told you Charlie Blackmon is my pick for NL MVP. But now, that batting average has dropped over the weekend down to 405. So I don't know. It does look like it might be that 3-horse race with Mookie Betts also being thrown in there. But it's tough to really decide. Now, give me your AL MVP, Eric.
Yeah, again, this has obviously changed in the past few days with Jose Abreu busting out of nowhere, and the White Sox as well. They're doing better than expected, earlier than expected, I would say. But for me, I'm going to stick with Brandon Lau. He's with the Tampa Bay Rays, who are leading the AL East in what was supposed to be a runaway by some people for the Yankees and inevitable Yankees-Dodgers World Series. But Brandon Lau has really helped the Rays and a team that is known for their pitching, not so much for their offense, but their offense has picked it up. They're playing very well. Lau has 9 homers, 25 RBIs, and also he plays everywhere. He's listed as a second baseman, but he's played some outfield. He plays some third base as well when needed. So just the fact that he is so versatile as well, and just at how well the Rays are doing, I think he's been very valuable to this team and is good enough to be AL MVP right now.
Now, we've also seen some fantastic pitching this season. Why don't you take me through your AL Cy Young Award winner?
Yeah, and I think this is a little bit easier than the MVP candidacy just because, again, all those guys are so close on the offensive side of the ball, and then you could even throw this guy in the mix too at pitcher. And for me, it's Shane Bieber. The guy has been lights out. His knuckle curve is practically unhittable. He throws 4 pitches competitively and can find great location. He's sitting at 5-0 right now with an AL leading 1.11 ERA. And again, just how well he's pitching, although I wouldn't count Lance Lynn out just yet, just based on the fact he can throw some complete games. He's built to be a long workhorse, and that could hold up a little bit better here over the back end of the season with what was kind of a short summer camp. But right now, Shane Bieber's been unhittable.
I totally agree with you when it comes to the American League. National League, Eric, my pick is Trevor Bauer. I mean, he's been lights out. He has a .68 ERA, only given up 8 hits all season long. So for me, that's my National League Cy Young Award winner. Eric, I can't wait to see the second half of this MLB season and really just sports in general. Thanks for taking the time and chatting with me.
No problem. Looking forward to it too. It's going to be fun.
Now we're Connor Chan. We'll take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Take a look at temperatures right now. Still sitting at that 22-degree mark right now. Edmonton sitting at 23. We get a little bit cooler as we go further west right now. Over in Jasper areas right there, sitting at 12 degrees with 13 degrees out in Edson. Whitecourt also sitting at 12 degrees as well. 18 degrees in Athabasca with 22 degrees in Rocky Mountain House. Over in the Saskatchewan areas right now, a little bit warmer compared to Alberta right now. Sitting at 27 in Saskatoon with 24 degrees in North Battleford, 21 in Meadow Lake, and then 23 degrees in Prince Albert. Albert, and 23 also out in Cold Lake. Northern areas right now of the two provinces, a little bit cooler, 19 degrees in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, fairly warm there compared to what we see in Walson Lake at 12 degrees, and South End and Flin Flon sitting at 14 degrees, and Stony Rapids at 13 degrees. Over in the northern Alberta areas, also in those single less than 20 degree temperatures there. Slave Lake sitting at 15 with Grand Prairie at 14, and Peace River sitting right now at 12 degrees. High Level also sitting at 14 with Fort Chipewyan sitting at 15 degrees. As we take a look into the southern areas right now, it's the complete opposite as we see those temperatures in the almost close to 30 degrees or just over 30. As we see Medicine Hat sitting at 31 degrees with Lethbridge at 28, along with Coronation and Banff and Calgary both sitting at 26 degrees. Over in the southern Saskatchewan areas right now, Swift Current sitting at 31 degrees, Moose Jaw sitting at 32, along with Estevan and Kindersley at 29, and Yorkton also following suit with the 29 degrees as well, and then 31 also for Regina. And as we look across the country, Regina, of course, all sun right there with that 31 degree temperature. 30 in Winnipeg with some cloud coverage. A little bit cloudier in Quebec City, sitting at 22 degrees. 17, in St. John, with 26 degrees out in Halifax, and then 32 in Toronto right now with some mostly cloudy skies and a bit of sun. In Vancouver sitting at 19 right now. Edmonton and some cloud coverage right now, sitting at that 23 degree mark. Yellowknife at 14, and then Whitehorse seeing some showers right now at 12 degrees. Now over in what we could see for tomorrow, we could be back up. It's kind of the same area where we were today. 21 degrees tomorrow expected for our daytime high with some clear skies. 22 in Vermilion and Wainwright and Edmonton. 21 for Vegreville, St. Paul, Bonnyville, and Lac La Biche. Cold Lake also could see 22 degrees tomorrow. 23 degrees for North Battleford with 22 in Maidstone, Meadow Lake, and in Green Lake as well. And then 21 degrees in St. Walburg with Provo sitting at 23 and Macklin at 24. So here's what we could see over the next 7 days. We could see some showers heading to Thursday there with that 20 degree mark there, but 22 on Wednesday with a 56% chance, as I mentioned. We could get a good amount of rain there, as well as even on the weekend we could see some showers as well. 21 also on Friday with some cloud coverage there. A little bit clearer on Saturday with that high of 18 degrees, and then 12 degrees on Sunday. Then a little bit cooler on Monday, especially in the morning, as we are at 4 degrees, what we could see in those early morning areas there. So we're getting lower with our average. We're getting lower with the average lows. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after this.
Joining me today is Kim Crockett with the B. Fisher Center. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Shelby. And yourself?
I'm very good. So the 2020 Color Within run has been postponed this year. What's this run all about?
Well, a couple of things about the Color Run. It's an event that we've been running for for about 7 years actually now with B. Fisher. One of the primary reasons is obviously to raise some funds for B. Fisher, and over the last year we've established a very specific project where the funds would go to. The second reason is just create some awareness and highlights the needs that we have within this area, and like I say, just create some awareness for what B. Fisher does within the community.
And how come it's been postponed this year? Is it due to COVID-19?
That's the primary reason for it. It's we were really hoping that we could pull this one off, and we're just finding that there's just so much uncertainty and just some nervousness about still trying to host the run. We had some plans to put it together, even in what we would consider an appropriate manner, even under these circumstances, but there was still just some nervousness and some hesitation, and we just don't want to contribute to problems perceived or otherwise, and so we felt this might be not the year to pull this one off.
And how many years has this annual fundraiser been held?
This would have been our 7th year if we were able to carry it on again.
And how much has this fundraiser raised in previous years?
Well, last year was a very good year for us. We raised almost $18,000 after all the expenses were paid. And all of those funds were earmarked into a project that we started last year as well. The big project was raised in excess of $250,000 over a period of about 3 years to use towards some maintenance and improvement work at our care homes here in Lloydminster.
Okay, and has the center received lots of support in the past with this?
Oh, absolutely. It's gone over very well. And last year was a very interesting year. We were planning to do our spring color run, and literally just moments before the color run was meant to happen, we had a massive hailstorm and it took out the entire run. And it turned out to be a very, almost a strange blessing in disguise. Community really rallied around, and so we rescheduled for the fall, and we had close to 500 people sign up for it in the fall. So we're really excited about the interest that there was for it. So obviously, yes, there's some disappointment that we're not hosting it this year, but absolutely, we're looking forward to bringing it back again next year.
And what will the Beef Fisher Center do differently this year instead of having the run?
Well, we do have our Bee Fisher Foundation team are meeting together next month, and we're just in the light of the decision to postpone the color run for a year, we're going to start making some plans. What else can we do to create some awareness, to create some fundraising within the community? Another big fundraiser that we launched last year for the first year was a New Year's Eve gala. And similar to this, it's not looking likely like they will be able to pull that one off as either. So we've got to just do a little bit of retooling and rethinking how are we just going to still meet our needs within this environment.
And what's the center raising for from this run? Was there a certain goal that the center was trying to get to?
Well, our goal over a 3-year period was to raise in excess of $250,000. We've got a dozen care homes here in Lloydminster. Some are newer, some need some improvement work. And so we were looking to do that. The funds that were raised at our first New Year's Eve gala, we were able to raise almost $90,000 from that. And some projects have already been taken care of. We've done some improvements at one home that needed some significant landscaping improvements. We've been able to reshingle some homes and working on the final touches to redo a suite in another home. So some of the projects we were able to start and complete already, much needed. It's good to get them done. And the needs for the other ones, they didn't go away. So we just have to figure out how are we going to take care of them now.
And how in the past did this run work? Like, where was it held?
It was, it's been always held at Bud Miller Park. And Bud Miller and the city, they've been fantastic partners in this whole event. The staff, they come out, they get right involved alongside of our own volunteers just to make sure this one gets pulled off. But it's a great facility to host a 5K run and not a problem to have 500 people there in a normal year.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kim, and best of luck to the Bee Fisher Center in the future.
Great. Sure appreciate you taking the time to just learn a little bit more of what's going on in our world.
I'm joined today with Caleb Sunderland from Sunderland Corn Maze. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today, Caleb.
You bet, no problem.
So first of all, I just wanted, before we get into the corn maze and stuff, I understand that there was a harvest kickoff that happened last night. And can you just tell me a little bit about how that went?
It blew our expectations out of the water. We sort of, 4 days ago, actually, was all it was. We decided we'd have a little get together and shoot off some fireworks. And we just sort of put it out there for neighbors and whoever wanted to come. We'd do a haunted corn maze, and we had free ice cream. And next thing you knew, last night there was, at our best estimate, about 1,500 people showed up. So kind of blown away, actually, but it all went really well. So.
And for people who haven't been to your corn maze or maybe haven't heard of it, can you just tell me a little bit about what the corn maze is and what people can expect if they show up there?
Sure, yeah. Well, we started the corn maze back in June, I guess, when we decided to do it. And we thought, with everything that's been going on with COVID restrictions, and everybody's just felt like they're so locked up and unable to do anything. And here we had an opportunity to make something where people can be socially distant and just go out and you're walking in a farmer's field. And so we made the maze. It's a pretty basic maze. It's the first one I've ever done. So I don't know if it's that good, but it's had a lot of visitors so far and a lot of success. And yeah, it's been really fun for us to see people coming and having something that their kids can run around and play and just enjoy. It's been really cool.
So obviously this is the first year that you've decided to make a corn maze. And what have people been saying once they come out and go through it? Obviously it's your first time doing it, but what has the reaction been like?
We've got a lot of positive feedback. I think people are sort of blown away that it's for free. They come and they expect, there's going to be a fee or something. And we just wanted to do something that was giving back to the community. We live in such a great community, and we're so thankful for our friends and neighbors. And we thought, well, this could be something fun for everybody to take an afternoon and do something. So I think sometimes when something like that happens, people are more thankful or appreciative, and it maybe isn't the best maze, but they don't care because they understand. So the feedback has been good. We've had lots of positive reviews, and everybody seems to leave with a smile. That's our motto is admission is a smile. So if everyone leaves with a smile, it makes us pretty happy too. It's pretty fun.
That's awesome. And so for people who are interested in going, where are you guys located, and what are some things people maybe should prepare for when they're arriving there?
We're on Highway 897, so we're straight south of Kitscoty towards Paradise Valley, and the corn maze is just south of the junction of Township Road 474. There's signs in the ditch that you can't miss. There's a great big bin yard. That's where the fireworks display was last night, which was it was pretty incredible actually. My uncle put it on. He's a registered fireworks technician, and any feedback from people that were at the show, it was second to none in our area that we've ever seen probably. So it was pretty exciting. Everybody had a really good time.
And do you see yourselves next year, continuing on and possibly doing another corn maze?
I can't see why we wouldn't want to after this. It's just been so much fun for us, like to see our neighbors, having a good time coming, and we've got to interact with them. We missed our fair this year, as of course every community did, and we missed that time getting to see our friends and neighbors, and this has just worked out so well where people were able to come, and we had our vineyard is huge, and it had 5 or 6 acres where people could spread out and stay socially distant, and yet we could still feel like a community. It was a real blessing last night, and it was pretty exciting. So the way things went, I can't see us not ever wanting to do it again. It was so much fun.
And when people come, how long do you expect, how long can the average person expect to, go through the corn maze and spend some time there?
Usually it takes about a half hour to an hour, depending on how long you want to take. There's a game sheet there when you get there to sign in, and it'll have the instructions on it. You can try to go through as fast as you want, or you can try and find all the dead ends. They have clues, and then either way, that'll get you entered into a door prize if you're in the top half of speed or top half of most dead ends found. You'll be entered for the grand door prize at the end of the year. So it gives somebody something to work for, and it's worked out well.
That's awesome. What is the door prize?
It's nothing too big, but it's just something it keeps people motivated, I guess. It's just a camping lounge or chair, sort of a fancy reclining one, but nothing. But it's just the prize to keep people motivated. It seems to work well.
It's that extra little push to try and go through faster or find the dead ends. Awesome. So just before we go, how long will you guys be open for people to come by, and also what's maybe the best time to come, or can people come whenever they're free?
Yeah, we keep it open 24 hours a day unless it's rainy or too muddy. We don't want to make a mess, but otherwise you can come anytime. We've had people come through at nights, and they seem to have a good time. And the haunted corn maze last night was a lot of fun for me. I was one of the scarers inside. Yes, but people have come and went through at night, and they seem to really enjoy it. But you come anytime, and it's usually never too busy. And yeah, it's just our way of giving back to the community, and we just hope everybody really enjoys it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking some time to talk with me today, Caleb. It's great to showcase the corn maze here in the area, and also a way for people to get out and enjoy the weather and enjoy their local community.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. Tomorrow we could see daytime high there of 21 degrees, but that's the number we're going to see mostly around the area here, especially in areas like Marwayne, St. Walburg, St. Paul, Bonnyville, Lac-La-Biche, and in Vegreville. Provost will see 23 degrees tomorrow. Macklin at 24. Maidstone tomorrow at 22 degrees, along with Edmonton. North Battleford we could see at 23 degrees, and then 22 for Meadow Lake and in Green Lake, with Cold Lake and Pearson also following suit. There is a chance that maybe tonight we could even have some showers just after the midnight, before clearing up in into the morning, and with winds coming in from the southeast, maybe up to 40 kilometers, and then gusting to 60, and then northwest as well, going from 30 to 50 kilometers later in the evening. But taking a look at the 7-day forecast here, 22 degrees for Wednesday, and then 20 degrees for Thursday as well, and then with a 56% chance of some showers. Then Friday we could see a high of 21 degrees. We could see some showers also possibly on the weekend there, mainly on that Sunday, where we could have a little bit over 25% chance there at that high of 12, and then 14 degrees on Monday with that low of 4 degrees there. So we are going to start seeing fairly cooler mornings up ahead as we are getting close to September.
Thanks for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.